Koneru Humpy makes her way to the board. She's playing a marathon tiebreak against her Chinese opponent Lei Tingjie at the semi-finals of the FIDE Women's World Cup 2025. Humpy now has the white pieces in the 5+2 portion. This is a very exciting and interesting battle. The classical games between Humpy and Lei Tingjie ended in 1-1. Then we had 15+10 today, which also ended in 2 draws. In the 10+10 segment, it was Lei Tingjie who struck first, but Humpy equalized back. And now here we are in the 5+2 segment. You can already see Humpy looks very tired as she puts her head down on her hand. She is definitely looking, not in the best of her spirits. But all that we know about Humpy is that she's a huge fighter. She never gives up. And Lei Tingjie arrives here. Both of them world-class players and wanting to make it to the finals of the FIDE World Cup and book a spot in the candidates 2026. So a lot at stake here as the players get ready for their encounter. Handshake and off we go. D4, D5, Humpy plays the Queen's Gambit. We have the Slough defense. Knight comes out and now Humpy plays E3. The semi-Slough with E6. A very well-known fighting weapon here for black. And Lei Tingjie now thinking about what to do. Humpy choosing a very smart variation where you delay with the development of your knight on B1. It could go to D2, it could go to C3. Knight comes to D7. Humpy plays B3. So now bolstering the center. And Lei Tingjie is trying to choose what her line should be. There are many ways to play. You can go for a check here. You can play B6. You can put your bishop on D6. So all of these options are being considered by her. She goes bishop E7, which is slightly passive, but also very logical. Bishop comes out for Humpy here on B2. And Humpy is speeding up. She has 5 minutes, 8 seconds, while Lei Tingjie is down to 4 minutes, 32 seconds. B6 played to get the bishop out. Humpy finishes her development with knight BD2. Do you put your bishop on B7 or A6 is the question. She goes short castles first. And now white can also short castle here. Humpy thinking a bit. Maybe she's considering to put the queen up on C2 or queen E2. Maybe there are some ideas of opening up the position with E4. You just don't want to do it immediately with your king in the center, as because after take, bishop takes, there would be a check. So castles makes a lot of sense, and Lei Tingjie immediately strikes in the center with C5. So already looks pretty even, and when these 4 pawns face off against each other, it's chaos and confusion for many players. But here both players hope that the opponent would take. For example, if black were to take, the knight would develop, and Humpy takes on D5, knight takes on D5. Interesting decision. You could have even taken back with the pawn capturing more space in the center, but knight D5 keeps the position more fluid. Humpy can now decide between some options, like she would love to play E4, but then the knight would jump to F4 attacking the bishop. The other idea is that knight can jump to B4 as well. So these are some problems that are being faced here by Humpy. She goes queen E2, a very logical move, but isn't knight B4 a problem? Let's say knight B4. If you move the bishop away, the black bishop can take this diagonal, but then you have bishop C4 and then kicking the knight away with A3. So makes sense. Queen E2 played here. Lei Tingjie has 4 minutes, 28 seconds. Humpy has slowed down a bit. She has 3 minutes, 42 seconds on the clock. And now Lei Tingjie deciding whether knight b4 should be tried here. Should she take on d4? Also an interesting point. Or she can just go, she goes bishop b7 and Humpy goes a3. Humpy takes away the b4 square from the knight. And now pawn takes pawn in the center. And Humpy definitely doesn't want to take back with the pawn. I think that would be a huge mistake. She takes back with the knight. And the knight goes to c5. Now attacking the bishop on d3. Well, you could potentially play bishop c4 here, then a6 with the idea of b5 could follow. You could go back to c2, but then you have to be alert about the bishop a6 move in the position. So Humpy taking her time here. She's coming down to 3 minutes on the clock, 3 minutes 42 seconds for Lei Tingjie. It's a lot of calculation that you need to do. Also remember, when the black king is all alone with no pieces in front of it, you should calculate some bishop h7, queen h5 stuff if it's working. Right now it doesn't seem likely, as the king would just drop back. Humpy goes bishop c2, and she actually has just confirmed that after bishop a6, knight c4 is feasible, and it's not so bad, because if b5 trying to get this knight e5 is possible. So bishop a6 does come on the board, and Humpy again rechecking her lines because she's kind of afraid that knight c4 might just run into some tactics. But it's not. It's fine. She plays her knight to c4. Look at the complications with 4 knights now standing. Earlier we had 4 pawns here. Now we have 4 knights. Rook c8 played with the idea of certain jumps here to attack the knight on c4. Also knight takes b3 could become possible. Rook fd1. I like this move. Fantastic move. And now bishop f6 could be an idea. Just moving the queen away. Queen c7 also possible. Notice that there are these all sorts of tactics in the air which you should keep an eye with these two bishops lining up on the king side, although none of them work right now. Now Lei Tingjie has 3 minutes on the clock and she's working it out as to what should she do. There are some positional options. There's also a tactical idea which is possible, which is to go knight a4, and this move is actually playing for takes, bishop takes c4 plan. So it is possible, but it's actually a mistake. The reason why this move is a mistake is very, very deep, but I doubt if Lei Tingjie is going to play this. There are many other possibilities here. Queen e8 also an idea just to get out from this file that the rook has come on to. But I think the most natural is just play bishop f6 and then put your queen on e7. That seems like the best, but Lei Tingjie now taking a lot of time. She's down to 2 minutes 15 seconds. Wow. She's now gone below Humpy's time. What is she thinking about here is the big question. Is she looking at certain tactics? Generally, when a player thinks for so long, they're definitely trying to figure out if there is some tactical line that is working, and that's the reason why I think knight a4 is something that's playing on her mind. It's just that that line doesn't work, Lei Tingjie. The reason for that is after knight a4, don't take this knight, but there is this shot with knight e6, a huge shot, because after, oh, by the way, she's about to make a move. She plays it. Oh my goodness, Humpy is actually winning now. Knight e6, f e6, queen h5, threatening a mate. If you play h6, I go queen g6, yeah, here just getting in. But if you go g6, then boom, bishop g6 is winning. But Humpy doesn't find it. She goes b takes a4 and bishop takes c4 played. Lei Tingjie is back in the game. This knight e6 tactic was just insane. It was so strong. But now Humpy goes queen g4 and she's like, I still have a massive attack. With these two bishops lined up here, this is looking very strong. Also the knight could jump in. Lei Tingjie down to 1 minute 30 seconds. 1 minute 20 seconds to be precise. Humpy has 2 minutes. I wonder how black is going to meet this move. Well, maybe knight f6 back, maybe bishop f6 makes the most sense to put the bishop on this long diagonal. And I think Lei Tingjie is not feeling the comfort here. She is taking a lot of time, and this is giving Humpy huge confidence here. 40 seconds only for Lei Tingjie. And Humpy now feeling the confidence in her strides here. She goes knight f6, a mistake. This is not a good move. Now queen h4 is a very powerful move because then the knight cannot move. There's a mate threatened here on h7. I don't know if you go, maybe g6 is one possibility, but already some stuff like knight f5 is insanely strong attacking the queen. So you can't do that. Maybe you have to move your queen, let's say queen to c7. You already have rook c1. You maybe think about queen e8, but then there's knight b5. So a lot of possibilities, but queen h4 is just the strongest move in the position. Humpy also taking her time. She's down to 1 minute 20 seconds. Lei Tingjie has 33 seconds. Both the players feeling the pressure because lot at stake here. And there's very little time on the clock. But you can see Humpy's expression. She's like so stoic. She's someone who is able to maintain her calm and poise under insane pressure. We all remember her during the Chess Olympiad 2020 online where she took on Monika Sochko by the queen h3 move. Not the best. The queen would have been much better on h4. It would have also looked in this direction. Now the position is equal. Queen c7 played. Maybe the queen was better placed on e8 than on c7. Rook c1 is a strong move. Again lining up the rook against the queen. Threatening ideas like bishop d3. And Humpy now quickly has to make her move. She has 40 seconds while Lei Tingjie has 23 seconds. Whoa. Very little time left on the clock for both players. Humpy down to 23, 22, 21, 20. 19. Oh my goodness. How are these players able to play with such less time? Go for it, Humpy. Down to now 9 seconds as she makes her move. She gets 2 seconds of increment, so up to 12 seconds. Rook a c1 played. Queen b7. Lei Tingjie immediately moves her queen. But Humpy finds an incredible move. Knight to b5, threatening bishop f6 and queen h7 mate. And this is a super strong move. Already big problem. She goes g6, but now bishop takes f6 comes in. Bishop takes and finds a fork here. Fantastic. Humpy with just 14 seconds. And so is Lei Tingjie. She wins an exchange now with knight c8, rook c8. But there are big problems. There's bishop b2 in the other. There's bishop e2. She goes queen here. This is a mistake. Queen f3 was better. Bishop e2. A double attack here. Humpy seems to have missed it. You can see her being completely surprised by that move. Queen f4, but she's going to lose the rook now. Suddenly the position is equal. If you take on c2, there is f6 bishop hanging. So king g7 makes a lot of sense here. Black is better. She goes queen e2. Wow. The queen enters. Humpy takes the bishop. Queen takes f6. Queen takes c2 played. The rook is attacked. The back rank is weak. She goes queen d4. Safeguarding everything. But guys, this position is better for black because white's pawn structure is doubled. Humpy keeps the queens on the board. I guess rook c7 shouldn't hurt. Queen check. King comes up and h3 taking away the back rank worries. The queen moves back. I think Lei Tingjie is happy here with a draw now. So should be Humpy, but I don't know. Humpy is not trading queens. She's like, I want to keep the queens on the board. Rook c3 played. And black is putting pressure now. a3 pawn under pressure. Humpy attacks the a7 pawn. Rook takes a3. Queen takes a7 taken. 7 seconds for Humpy. 8 for Lei Tingjie. Any result is possible. f2 under attack. Look at this. She goes rook f1. Saves it. b5. You can't take, your queen will hang. Pawn push forward. Is the a pawn a strength or a weakness? Big question here. Maybe there is queen d8 attacking this pawn. She finds it. Queen d8. a6. Just play queen d6. And rook c1 with just 1 second on the clock. Humpy almost lost on time, and now she's lost a key pawn. She plays rook c1, and problems here. Queen a8 may be the only move. She finds it. Humpy goes rook c7. Now queen f8. She blunders here. No, king h2. This is fine. Queen f8. Only move. She goes rook a6. No, she puts the rook back. She's blundered. Queen d7. Can Humpy find it? Yes, she finds it. Insane action. Rook, queen f8. Rook comes in, and this is all over, guys. Humpy actually wins the queen, and now 4 pawns versus 4. Queen versus rook. Oh my goodness. I'm on the edge of my seat. I can't believe that Humpy is actually winning this game, and she is playing as if nothing in the world has just happened. This is Humpy for you. You won't even realize that she has won the game. Her expression the same. She's now fighting in h4. And now the way to win this is very clear. You have to simply push your pawn to h5, h6, and that's done. The king is too weak here. But she's taking her time. Both players made so many moves quickly. They're up to 16 seconds. h6 played. And now check. King comes up. She plays queen to d7. The rook is attacked. The rook comes back to b8. And Humpy gives a check. King goes back. Queen to d2, attacking the pawn on h6. Queen c3 check. King comes up. Rook stopping the king from advancing. Queen c6 played. Lei Tingjie comes back, and will the king enter in here? It's possible, but black will try to play king g7. This position is slightly complex to win. The rook is doing a good job, but I believe Humpy will be able to manage this. Queen d7. Rook to a8. And is Humpy thinking about going ahead with the king? No, she steps behind, and I think that's correct. You don't need to move ahead all the time. g5 played. Now pawn takes pawn. King takes pawn. I'm not so sure. I think Lei Tingjie could have gone h5 there, keeping the position closed. Now the king is entering in. h5 could also be an option. Queen e7, even coming closer to the rook. Goes rook b8, queen check. And now the king moves in, and it's a forced mate on h6. Lei Tingjie resigns. Humpy scores a massive, important win there. And she leads now the match in the 5+2 segment with 1-0. What a win there for Humpy. All that she needs now is a draw. And she is for the first time in the match leading, because she was trailing in the 10+10 segment where she managed to win. And now it's huge pressure on the shoulders of Lei Tingjie. Will she manage to come back? And as we now load in to the second game of 5+2 segment, you can see Humpy coming into the board, this time with the black pieces. She adjusts her pieces. She's one step away from reaching the candidates, from reaching the finals of the World Cup, to make it an all-Indian final against Divya Deshmukh. Lei Tingjie also comes in. She has to now strike back. Not an easy situation to be against Koneru Humpy, who's like this very, very strong-willed player. And Humpy there once again putting her head on her hands. She is definitely not in the best of health, I believe. But it's important to keep fighting. It's important to keep fighting here. And Lei Tingjie, of course, a massive fighter as well. She's played the Women's World Championship, nothing less than that, against Zhu Wenjun. And till the game begins, there we go. 5 minutes plus 2 seconds increment. Both players are ready. The arbiters are ready. I think it's actually 5 minutes plus 3 seconds. D4, E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6. The bishop comes out to C4, bishop C5, pawn to D3, and C3 played, H6, castles. So D6, knight D2, we have a very standard Italian that is being developed here. Humpy and Lei Tingjie have played this opening in their previous game as well. So they're both well versed with it. Bishop B5 played. Humpy goes knight A7. This is all part of preparation. Bishop comes back to A4. B5 played. The bishop comes back to C2. Now knight comes back. White would love to break with D4, but right now it's not possible. So knight F1, knight G3 makes a lot of sense. She plays a knight to F1. And now D5 in the center. She finds it. D5 played. And now two ways for White to play. One is she can take on D5. The other is to push D4. Both very, very sharp positions. She takes on D5. And Humpy takes with the queen, defending her pawn on E5. And Lei Tingjie goes knight to G3. These positions are super complicated. It looks like black has all the space in the world, but the E5 pawn is generally weak. Rook Fe8. And the knight is looking on F5 square. Goes queen E2. And if a successful D4 comes up, look at these two bishops lining up on the black king side. So have to be very careful as Humpy. By the way, Humpy's time 4 minutes. She has 5 minutes plus, whereas Lei Tingjie also has 4 minutes 58 seconds. So both players super well prepared. And now Humpy, for the first time in the game, starts to think many ways to play. One is to gain more space with A4. The other is maybe just go back with your queen. The E5 pawn, not really hanging because the rook is opposite the queen. But knight E5, is that really a threat or not? That has to be assessed. And I think wise decision by Humpy to start taking a bit of time. She gets her rook into the center of the board. Rook A D8 played. And can Lei Tingjie win the pawn now? Look at this. Knight E5. Knight takes. Queen takes. And it looks like this is bad, but bishop D7. And then even rook hangs with a check. So A3 played here by Lei Tingjie. Maybe if she gets a chance, she wants to play B4. Gaining more space, fixing the weakness on B5. And black can go A4, I believe, to stop the B pawn from advancing. Or just drop your bishop back to F8, also possible. Humpy is the first one to start taking some long things here. She goes pawn to A4, limiting the pawns there. Bishop D2, Lei Tingjie making these little moves. She understands that right now is not the time to break out. Just play calmly, bring your rook into the game, bring your bishop back, and that should be fine. What's next here for Humpy? How is she going to continue? Maybe one plan is to just drop the queen back to D7. Anyway, we know that knight E5 is not that great. Like for example, queen D7, knight E5, knight E5, queen E5. And already there could be some deadly discovered attacks. One of them being bishop F2, king F2, and now bishop B3. Very important to do that because your bishop was anyway hanging on C5. So you gave up a pawn and now the queen is attacked and the bishop. So will Humpy play that? She's thinking. She does play queen D7 now. Good move. So knight E5 isn't possible. Somewhere I believe Humpy is hinting at bishop H3 sacrifice. Although it cannot really work in such position. Bishop H3, GH3, queen H3. It seems not so dangerous. Still, it does look like some kind of a threat. And I would say like bishop E3 makes so much sense here. to trade the bishops, but king h2 played, and this is a big mistake. The reason is you can go e4, and after d takes e4, bishop c4, and the queen is almost trapped. If queen d1, you have bishop f2. So king h2 is actually a big mistake, and if knight e4, by the way, then still knight e4. You can't take with the queen because of bishop b3. The queen is attacked, and if d4, there is bishop c4. This tactic is really incredible. Humpy goes bishop b3 directly, which is not a bad move, which is fine, but e4 was just insanely strong. It was just about clearance. It was clearing the c4 square for the bishop. I guess now you can take the bishop. It's possible. The only thing is this king on h2 move. It's so weird that you stop this bishop h3 idea, which was not really a big threat. But in doing so, you have now weakened your f2 square. And that's a big weakness, which the bishop is constantly putting pressure on. Bishop b3 played here, and now Lei Tingjie has 3 minutes 36 seconds. She's considering what to do. Her position doesn't look super comfortable. She can take on b3. She can go bishop e3 also. These are the possibilities that she has. It's taking her time. Because for her, it's not just a question of having a decent position. She must win. If she doesn't win, she's out of the Women's World Cup. Well, not really out. She will play for the third and fourth battle against Tan Zhongyi. But for now, she needs to play this for a win. She takes on b3. ab3 taken. Now, you would have loved right now to play knight e4. But then take and then f2 pawn would have been a bit soft. So d4 played. Wow, what a move. Because if e takes d4, which seems like a fine move, she wants to chop off the b5 pawn. Oof. What a brave decision here by Lei Tingjie. And Humpy has to decide. She has a very strong move in e4. Pushing the pawn. Even bishop can drop back. She takes on d4. Lei Tingjie takes on b5. Attacking the bishop on c5 now. Where do you play? I think bd6 is not at all a bad idea to pin here. Humpy takes even another pawn. D takes c3. And she's like, if you take the bishop, I'll take your bishop. So bishop c3 I think makes a lot of sense. The only problem is again the f2 square. That is hanging. Which is why Humpy is taken here. I think the best decision at this point could very well be to take on e8. Maybe rook e8. And then take on c3. Or even taking on c5. Not so silly. For example, rook e8. Rook e8. Queen c5. cd2. And now rook d1. With the idea of taking here. And I think it's equal. Lei Tingjie thinking where to get her advantage from, because the need to play for a win. Rook e8, and now you can take with all three pieces. Rook e8 is possible, Queen e8 is possible, and Knight e8 is possible. All three possibilities here. I think Knight e8 also is not a bad idea, because after bishop c3, the knight is no longer kind of attacked on f6. It has moved away, which is the reason why that's possible. And Humpy calmly assessing all her possibilities. She's played so much chess over the years, so much chess at the highest level, that she realizes this is a key moment where she must take her time. Knight takes e8. All the experience coming to the fore. She's down to 58 seconds. Lei Tingjie has 2 minutes on the clock. Queen takes c5. A decent move here. And maybe the best. Bishop takes c3 is the other option. These two are only possible moves. I mean, if queen takes c5, we already analyzed this position, rook d1, with the idea of taking here. Queen d6, take. Maybe take here with the rook, maybe knight takes. You take rook d2 and then knight c4. I don't know, this position should very well be a draw after rook takes, knight takes. But instead she decides to take with the bishop. Humpy quickly chops off the pawn. Humpy is like, okay, Lei Tingjie, tell me what is it that you have on your mind to bishop f2. So I also have an idea to take here on g3. My bishop is, I've just won a pawn. You can take back queen b3, but then queen d6 pins here. That is very, very difficult to meet. And this pinning idea is quite insane. So you may want to move your knight away. Lei Tingjie also down to 50 seconds. Humpy in fact now moving ahead on the clock. Whew! I can literally see the players breathing down each other's neck. I mean, what will happen here? Who will come out on top? Lei Tingjie plays knight to f5. Nice move. Keeping up the pressure, attacking this pawn on g7. Super strong here. Humpy's knight on e8 is kind of passive. Oh, she has a move, knight d6. Because then there's no way to take here. The queen is attacked on b5. So then a trade and then queen d6 check. That would be something that Humpy wants here. To trade pieces, to equalize. She's down to 30 seconds. She finds it. Knight d6 played. Excellent move here. Oh, there's a tactic here. Queen takes c6, because if queen takes c6, knight e7. No, but there's queen f5. Okay, that saves the day. Wow, Humpy had to see all of those things here before making that move. And now Lei Tingjie down to what? 20 seconds. Oh my goodness. She's actually, I think, a bit worried. She takes on h6. What? Why? Why this move? How is this even working? Humpy takes back. And I think Lei Tingjie hallucinated there. She thought there's some kind of a mate, or she thought if queen c6, knight e7, but the knight is already gone. She had already sacrificed it. Insane how her brain just completely faded there. And now Humpy simply brings back her bishop with 19 seconds. Lei Tingjie down to 9 seconds, knight e5. But you can trade that. No, if you trade queen takes e5, the queen would enter in. Queen e6 is a great move here for Humpy. Finds it under pressure. Humpy is just insane. She's so good. Queen h5 and now knight takes knight is possible. She takes it. Bishop takes on e5. And now she plays rook to e8, attacking the bishop. The bishop needs to move backwards again. Goes back. Knight e4 jumps in. And she brings a knight pinning here. But check to the king. King h1 only move. Knight g3 fork. And the queen is lost. Lei Tingjie resigns. Humpy has made it through to the finals. What a matchup this was. Humpy nose of cool there. Nose of ice. And now it's an all-Indian final between Koneru Humpy and Divya Deshmukh.